Hey, what is going on with y'all, man? It is Black Balloon, and I'm coming back with another video, man, so y'all already know what's going on, alright? Alright, y'all. So, today we are back, and we are gonna react to Dr. Umar talking about R. Kelly. Now, look, I know a lot of y'all got different opinions about Dr. Umar, you know, probably with everyone else that you know, I react to sometimes when they talk about these celebrities, these artists, Gene Deal, Jaguar Wright, probably they're probably all in the same mix. But he made a few good points on the Art of Dialogue channel, and I thought it was interesting enough for us to talk about it, right? Now, I haven't recently talked about R. Kelly, especially since he was sentenced to, I think, 30 years. Um, I never really talked about it. We know he was sentenced for, multiple charges. I think he got trafficking. I think he even had a racketeering charge across two separate states. I think one was in Chicago, one in New York. The sentences they ran concurrent between each other, so I think he got like 31 years or something like that, right? He won't be, you know, I think he'll be 70 something years old by the time he actually gets released, right? So, Dr. Umar is basically talking about the supposed plot on R. Kelly's life while he is in prison, saying that the industry wants him dead. And his near death experience, as far as him almost overdosing, was the industry trying to make sure that. Safe to say that he's been through a couple of things since he's been incarcerated. I think someone tried to stab him as well. Not sure on that, but I could have sworn I read that somewhere. But we're gonna go ahead and just take this video. I think I'm gonna chop this up. We got to listen to at least like the first 10 minutes of this just to, get the whole picture of everything. And then we're going to read from an article as well about some music that was stolen from R. Kelly that could possibly be, you know, the reason that some of this stuff is going on. All right. So, look, we'll go ahead and get into this clip, y'all. Check this out.
Robert Kelly. You know, Art, the R. Kelly situation is sensitive and it's unfortunate because although I never saw the video that came out about him back in 2002, showing him engaged in some sort of inappropriate sexual relations with an underage child, I never saw it. But enough people have told me that they've saw it for me to believe that it may be true. So some people would say because he's guilty of sex crimes, even if someone is trying to unalive him.
Now, when we talk about being guilty of underage crimes of you know what, it ain't far fetched. We're going to talk about that a little bit more with Aaliyah in a second. It ain't far fetched.
We should just let it happen. Although I understand that sentiment, Art, I also understand the white man and how he thinks. We can never, not for the sake of R. Kelly, but for the sake of all the other black people in this country, we can never let this corrupt government and this corrupt criminal justice system think that if we are completely done with a certain person, if we have canceled them from the community, we can never let them think that it's okay for them to unjustly murder them after the fact for something that has nothing to do with the reason that they are incarcerated. So R. Kelly's attorney, Bo Brinkley, has alleged, and I believe him, I absolutely believe him. He has alleged that there is a contract on R. Kelly's life. I absolutely believe him. This was alleged even before the most recent overdose situation. So a couple of days ago, R. Kelly is in his cell, solitary confinement. They bring him his anxiety medication. and they give him twice as much as they should have. What nurse makes that mistake, Art? Especially when it's already been put out there that the Bureau of Prisons and the U.S. attorneys and the Department of Justice are trying to take this man's life. What is that a coincidence? I don't believe it is. So R. Kelly receives an overdose in solitary confinement. He wakes up the next day, barely able to stand. He's seeing black spots. He's blurry, brain fog. I believe he falls to the ground, crawls over, barely gets the door open. The prison guards find him. They want to take him to the prison medical facility, but the prison medical facility said, we can't treat him. We don't have what he needs. So they take him to Duke University Hospital. R. Kelly gets to Duke University Hospital, and it is confirmed by the physicians that he has suffered an overdose at the hands of the prison's medical staff. They also diagnose him with blood clots in both legs and blood clots in his lungs. Now, we know, Art, one of the side effects of cheap drugs are blood clots. I don't think he had them blood clots when he got sentenced to prison. He's only been in jail a couple years, Art. He's not that old. So how did he develop blood clots in his legs and in his lungs that quickly? I believe R. Kelly's medication is intentionally, with deliberate intent, he's being given meds to cause blood clots in his legs and in his lungs. I absolutely believe that.
Now, I was just about to say that it seems like they are trying to take him out slowly with those meds. I mean, being in that kind of situation and you have no control over the flow of your medication, you may not even get it when you're supposed to. You know, they're bringing you medicine that you don't know where they're getting this stuff from. This is R. Kelly, the battle from his masters and his catalog. Who knows what is going on? Who knows what's really going on behind the scenes with how much of his music actually still holds value? I'm seeing different numbers all across the internet. Even seeing some claims that his catalog and some other things are worth upward of over 500 million. I'm not sure if that's completely true, but we know Sony is not paying him that. They already have a couple of million that's set aside for the victims of his charges. They're getting a couple of million. I think it's like up to $7 million. And Sony already has to pay that for R. Kelly. Because if you Google R. Kelly's, you just do a simple search of like his net worth, he's worth negative 2 million. And the money that is owed is coming out of Sony's pocket, right? Remember, they are the ones who own his catalog. But what Dr. Umar is describing, I don't think I read that in the article about his overdose, that he had blood clots in his lungs and his legs. I don't think I saw that. So that's new information to me, and it really does sound like they're trying to take him out slowly over time.
Check this out, Art. R. Kelly's attorney, Bo Brinkley, says that Duke University Hospital wanted to keep R. Kelly an extra 7 days. They wanted to perform a medical procedure to address his blood clots. Within an hour after deciding that he needs to stay there for an extra week, Art, he says prison police bust into the room armed with AR-15 rifles, Art. They came into the hospital with AR-15 rifles and took R. Kelly back to the jail and gave no explanation at all to the doctors. R. Kelly is in solitary confinement right now with blood clots in both legs and in his lungs, and the prison police would not allow him to remain at the hospital any longer to get the help that he needed. They want him dead, Art. Then check this out. Before the overdose incident, Bo Brinkley learned from R. Kelly that he was approached by a member of the Aryan Brotherhood. And this member of the Aryan Brotherhood, who allegedly struggles with terminal cancer, was offered a contract for freedom if he would unalive R. Kelly. He would be released from prison and he would spend whatever time left he has in life on the outside with his family. He couldn't do it, Art. He couldn't do it, so he approached R. Kelly and said, they came to me with this offer to take you out. He said, I didn't accept it, but they will be passing this on to somebody else, whether it's in my gang, whether it's in another gang. Somebody in this prison is going to be paid to take you out of here.
That's crazy. This story pretty deep. I mean, if you think about, all the things R. Kelly has done as far as sex crimes and stuff we've heard about way back when, I think we talked about him recently when we actually learned what the term Pied Piper actually means. Remember, R. Kelly calls himself the Pied Piper. And now, just for those who don't know, I think I usually don't like Googling stuff like this because it pulls up such a generic overview. But the Pied Piper was someone who attracts a following often through charismatic or deceptive means. Remember, the Pied Piper, he was like a rat guru. He came into town. This is from German folklore. He came into town to clear the town of rats, right? And he used his flute to basically lure children away. They didn't want to pay him for his services. So he lured the children away with his flute. And supposedly those kids were never seen again. It's a mysterious Pied Piper who dresses in colorful clothing. Remember, we talked about that. And I forget what video that was. We talked about it. But y'all get what I'm trying to say. So, we know that about R. Kelly, but it's safe to say that he's not being targeted for assassination, so to speak, because of those reasons. That's my point. I'm pretty sure the industry, they let him do it for 30 plus years. They let him do it for so long. I mean, check this out. Y'all remember this interview, right? This interview was back in 1994. Rest her soul, but Aaliyah died in 2001 at 22. She was like 15 at this time, y'all. Maybe even 14, turning 15. But y'all remember this, right? Look.
How you doing?
What's up, girl? You stack. America has been waiting for y'all to come back to us. How's everything going?
Everything's going pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, let's clear something up, because I've been getting a rundown on the street. Everybody seems to think that y'all are either girlfriend or boyfriend, or cousins, or friends. Let's just get the record straight.
I better go get me a white Jeep.
Well, no, we're not related at all. No, we're not. We're just very close. He's my best friend.
Yeah, cool.
Now, who found who?
In the whole wide world.
I found Leah. As a matter of fact, Barry Hankerson, my manager, who's her uncle, told me to go up to Detroit and hear her sing. Once I got up to Detroit, I didn't have to hear her sing because she was glowing. I knew she had it as soon as she started singing that very.
All right, we don't even need to watch anymore. They started that interview off with a 15-year-old girl. We'll say 15, all right? Now, if I'm dumb and I can't do math and she died in 2001 at 22 and that interview was in 1994, is she underage or not? If I'm dumb, let me know. If back in 1994 You know, you can be 14 and 15 and date a grown man. Let me know if I'm wrong, y'all. All right. Insane. They started off the people who are hosting that interview. Y'all know she's underage. Y'all know R. Kelly was a grown man. And they had the nerve to say, are y'all boyfriend or girlfriend or cousins? When we all know them country cousins will get down with each other regardless of blood relation. Crazy. Nothing they said was, appropriate. Insane. And we know what his name, Barry Hankerson or something like that, Aaliyah's uncle, which they say is rumored that he made $90 million off of her death. And he was already R. Kelly's manager. So he basically sold his niece. And it was rumored that he made 90 million off the potential of her career, of how much she would have been worth through insurance. If I'm not mistaken, that's how it went, right? Now, my point of showing that was to say that I don't think he's being targeted because of those reasons. Like the industry, they let him do that over 20, 30 years. So I don't think that's the case here. I think it has more to do with the music, the catalog, the rights to his music. And y'all already know how the industry goes. You know, Prince, Michael Jackson, R. Kelly, DMX. When these artists passed on, these labels made millions. Now, I don't know how it would go as far as him having millions of dollars worth of music, unreleased music at that as well. He has over 600 to 1,000 unreleased songs that are worth millions. Now, I don't know how that will go. Maybe this is from the industry and they don't want to be able to pay him anything. Or maybe they just think in the way that I was saying. If R. Kelly comes up dead in prison, unalived in prison, they are gonna make millions off of his already released catalog. And they're gonna be able to do whatever they want to do with the unreleased music. Insane. So this is making sense why they're trying to put hits on him in prison. We'll go ahead and check out a little bit more, all right?
Why do they want R. Kelly unalived? According to his attorney, Bo Brinkley, the U.S. attorneys, the Department of Justice, and the Bureau of Federal Prisons engaged in criminal behavior art during the investigation of R. Kelly's 2021 conviction in New York for sex trafficking and R. Kelly's 2022 conviction in Chicago for child pornography. His lawyer claims, he alleges, that the government engaged in criminal corruption and conspiracy during the investigation to make sure R. Kelly would go to jail. He says that if he and his client are given an opportunity to expose the criminal behavior of the U.S. Attorney's Office, R. Kelly's conviction will be overturned and he will go free. This is what his lawyer alleges, Art. However, the music industry cannot let R. Kelly go free. Why? Because they don't want R. Kelly to expose them, and they don't want R. Kelly to regain control over his music. What does R. Kelly, Prince, and Tupac Shakur have in common? Not only were two of them murdered partially by the music industry, and a third, God forbid, is right now having his life attempted on by the music industry in collaboration with the government, and there's really no separation there because white power is white power. But what they have in common, Art, these are three artists who are known to have as much unpublished music as they had published music. Are you following me? Tupac's death was partly desired because they had so much money they still stood to make off of Tupac's unreleased music. Prince's death was partially desired because they had so much unpublished music that they could steal from Prince. And R. Kelly, same thing. R. Kelly, like Prince and Tupac, was a workaholic. He has all kinds of unpublished material. And what did R. Kelly lawyer assert back in 2022, Art? When he first went to jail, right before or right after his New York conviction, and right after his Chicago conviction. In 2022, R. Kelly told the media through his lawyer that hundreds of his master recordings, Art, for his unreleased music were stolen from his home and studio. Let me say that again. In 2022, right around the time he's convicted and sentenced, R. Kelly finds out that hundreds of his unreleased master recordings were stolen from his home and studio. And then what do we find, Art? That some of R. Kelly's music was found on some of the major streaming platforms without his submission and without his permission. How in the hell did the streaming platforms get music from R. Kelly that he never gave them? And then what else happened in 2022, Art? An album that R. Kelly didn't even create, called I Admit, was released in 2022, and it was quickly pulled from the shelf, and Sony Records, which is the parent company of RCA, who picked up R. Kelly after he was dropped from Jive, claimed no responsibility for the mysterious release of the I Admit album in 2022 while R. Kelly was in jail. We also know that before R. Kelly got convicted, he was in a tug of war with his parent company, Art, for not being properly compensated for his music. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
I'm telling you, brother, this sounds just like Prince. What happened with Prince? In 2014, Prince gets his master recordings back. He'd been fighting for his master recordings for years. And then all of a sudden, he gets his master recordings back in 2014, Art, and he's dead by 2016. They trying to take R. Kelly out because they do not want to give him his music back. They've already stolen too much of it. They already owe him money that they never paid him. They don't want him to expose the music industry, and they don't want to get sued by R. Kelly. This takes me to Angie Stone. The Angie Stone R. Kelly situation are very similar.
Now look, no matter what y'all think about Dr. Umar, I mean, he on point. None of this stuff is speculation. I mean, you could say a little bit of it is with the money, but we know how this goes. Most of this stuff is facts. You can look all this stuff up. Don't matter what you think about Dr. Umar. This is true. R. Kelly's team did report a theft of 300 to 500 of his master recordings that people later demanded money for. They tried to get upward of $150K for the records that they stole. These 300 to 500 master recordings were valued at millions of dollars. We don't know exactly what that, details or how many millions, so on and so on. But just like any other label, of course, they owe R. Kelly money, and he was in a battle right before he went to jail. And you have to think about this. We gotta rewind a little bit. Just like the case with Diddy, R. Kelly would still be a free man if he probably didn't try to start fighting for the money that he was owed by the label, and trying to get his masters. Once he started doing all that, they said, all right, cool. All this freaky stuff we've been allowing you to do, you're now finna go to jail for. Once you face prosecution, you're not getting out of jail. Then we're going to try to take you out while you're in jail, and that's going to be the end of R. Kelly. That's it. Used and abused. We done let you do what you did. You trying to get your money, you gone. He related it back to Prince. Prince got his master's in 2014, and 2 years later, the devil came and collected, and they took Prince out. And guess what? I'm pretty sure that money is right back in their pockets. Those masters right back in the label's pocket. Now they make millions from Prince again. So the part about this with R. Kelly's, music that was stolen or attempted to be stolen is facts. And it's crazy on how they are, they'll give you your masters and then turn around and take you right out of here. It's almost the same thing with Tory Lanez. I think Tory Lanez got his masters, and then next thing you know, they set up this thing with Megan Thee Stallion, and boom, Tory's sentenced to jail for 10 years, and they tried to kill him in jail. Is the MO, the pattern is exactly the same once you actually pay attention. Now, check this out on how he finna talk about Angie Stone. Now, y'all know we did 2 or 3 videos on Angie Stone. Most of this stuff we've talked about, but think about the connection here. She started trying to get up to 10 million back from her label. Next thing you know, a lady we ain't seen in the news or in, relevant at all for a long time, and Miss Angie Stone, boom, just end up dead. But check this out. We'll listen to this last little bit before we wrap it up, all right?
What did Angie Stone say in December 2024? Angie Stone did a live where she said her parent company owed her royalties that they had not paid her. She said they owed her multiple millions of dollars, and she said she was going to get her money and expose the label. I'm going to get my money and I'm going to expose the label. And then that was in December 2024. February 28th, Art Black History Month, final day. She's performing in Alabama. March the 1st, she's driving with her entourage to the next destination. And all of a sudden, they get into an accident. And the media reports that Angie Stone dies in a car accident. And she's the only member of her entourage who dies in the car accident. And then we find out, Art, that she didn't die in the car accident. A snow bunny helped her out of the car because Angie Stone was discombobulated. According to the woman who helped her out, she told her to sit on the side of the road. Look at this, Art. Sit on the side of the road. As soon as she tells Angie Stone to sit on the side of the road, an 18-wheeler crosses the median on the highway, Art. An 18-wheeler crosses the median on the highway and runs Angie Stone over, killing her and nobody else. Help me understand, Art, what are the chances that you get into a car accident, you climb out? So the first attempt was unsuccessful, Art. The first attempt was unsuccessful. She was supposed to be unalived in that accident. She climbs out. You know how we know that? Because the media had already reported she passed in a car accident, Art.
Yep, he right. The media had already told us that she died in a car accident. That's what they told us. Then it came out. Remember that lady? We put that in the video as well. The lady came out and said, no, she actually helped her get out of the car. The thing is, the lady never said Angie Stone. She didn't know who Angie Stone was. She never said, I helped Angie Stone get out of the car. Remember, she said the truck brushed her as well. It basically almost, hit the lady as well. She had minor injuries, but killed Angie Stone. Now, he was right. The media put out that she died in that accident because they already knew. They were told to say that. It was pre-planned. But the chances of a giant 18-wheeler or trailer or whatever flying across the median lane, maybe rode through some grass, y'all, it actually blows my mind, because I don't think they even ever said how the van crashed in the first place. How did the van even crash in the first place? This was a one-car accident with multiple people inside. And did they just so happen to have, you know, a tractor trailer coming by to make sure the hit was done? And oh no, that's Angie Stone. She was supposed to be going in the car. Woo, swerve across the street, boom, and hit her. How you swerve across the street and then hit Angie Stone? That's the only person who was hit and unalived at the scene. None of it even makes sense when you really think about it. It almost makes me think nothing happened that way. Just she ain't even die that way. Because how would the truck driver had known I'm supposed to hit her? He got called. He's like, yo, when the van crashed, they made the call, yo, is it done? Nah, she in here alive. And then the white lady pulls up. Oh snap. I need to help this lady get out the car. Boom, get her out the car. They get to the curb. They already done hit the truck driver who was supposed to ride by and make sure the job was done. Hey, look, job not done. Get it done. Skirt. Boom, hit the lady. Now, mind you, how old was the truck driver? The truck driver was 33 years old, y'all. The truck driver was 33, bro. I don't even know what to say to this. It don't make no sense. Like, you have to think about it. They had to been making calls actively. The truck driver had to had known what he was supposed to be doing if she ain't. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. I guess the real question is, from the time that the van crashed to the time where she was hit by the tractor trailer, how long was she in the car before the white lady pulled her out? That's the real question. Was there enough time to set up the second attempt and get the job done? To this day, it don't make no sense. It does not make no sense. I don't think people was really thinking about the story that they gave us, but it almost makes me think she did not die that way at all. At all, y'all. And the fact that she was trying to seek up to $10 million and expose that label, y'all already know, bro. They said, no, we're not giving you no money. Who do you think you are? And they got her out of here, bro. That is a wicked industry right there. When you really think about how she died, supposedly, allegedly died, it's a wicked industry. And it seemed like, I'm not trying to wish no death on no man, but it seemed like they are on a fast trail behind R. Kelly. And if they really want it done, it's gonna happen, bro. And I will not be surprised if that headline crosses the internet. I'm not even gonna say soon or anything. Like I said, I'm not wishing that on nobody, but I just would not be surprised. So yeah, man, that'll pretty much wrap up this video. The rest of this interview, he just kind of goes on talking about R. Kelly a little bit more, but I really wanted y'all to hear that 14 minutes of this interview. It's on Art of Dialogue. Y'all can definitely go check it out if y'all want. Straight facts around the whole situation, man. This will definitely be interesting to keep up with as time goes on, if anything else develops from the situation with R. Kelly. All right, y'all. So with that being said, man, it's Black Balloon, and I'm going to see y'all soon. All right. I'm out.